I was sitting alone at a table set for 5 when my phone buzzed. The text was from my daughter Diane. "Sorry, Mom, couldn't make it. Too busy. You understand." 3 empty chairs stared back at me. Untouched plates. The waiter hovering in the corner, trying not to look at me with pity. That's when I realized my own children had forgotten what I'd given up for them. But they'd remember soon enough. My name is Grace Thompson, and I'm 67 years old. I've been a widow for 3 years now. Robert, my husband, died after 42 years of marriage. 42 years. And tonight was supposed to be our anniversary dinner. I worked as a school librarian for 35 years while raising 3 children. Diane is 40 now. Kevin's 37. Michelle just turned 34. After Robert passed, I sold our family home. It was too big, too full of memories I couldn't face alone. I downsized to a small 1-bedroom apartment and gave each of my kids $50,000 from the sale. I thought it would help them. I thought they'd appreciate it. I wasn't the type to demand attention or beg for love. I never wanted to be that kind of mother. But I thought raising them mattered. I thought I mattered. I'd planned this dinner for weeks, sent calendar invites, called each of them personally to confirm, reminded them twice. I didn't have wealth or power like some people, but I had something they'd taken for granted their whole lives. Me, my presence, my love. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because what happened next taught me the hardest lesson of my life. What they didn't know was that I'd been paying attention too. I'd arrived at the restaurant 30 minutes early. It was the same Italian place where Robert had proposed all those years ago. I wore his favorite dress, the blue one with the small flowers. I'd even brought our old photo albums to share memories with the kids. Nervous, excited, hopeful. The reservation was for 6 o'clock. 6:15 came. No one. Then the texts started rolling in. First Diane. "Mom, I have a work presentation. Can't miss it. You know how it is." Then Kevin. "Sorry, the kids have soccer. Maybe next week?" Finally, Michelle. "I'm at Brandon's parents' house. Forgot it was today." Each excuse landed like a punch to the stomach. I'd reminded them, multiple times, over 2 weeks. The waiter approached, his voice gentle. "Ma'am, should we start removing the extra settings?" I couldn't speak, just nodded. An elderly couple at the table next to mine whispered loud enough for me to hear. Poor thing, stood up by her own family. I sat there for 20 minutes, gripping the menu like it was a lifeline, tears threatening to spill, but I wouldn't let them. Not here, not in public. The waiter tried to comfort me. I'm sure they had good reasons. I forced a smile. I'm sure they did, too. I boxed up the untouched food meant for celebration, paid the bill for 5 people, alone, drove home in silence, those photo albums sitting unopened on the passenger seat, replaying their excuses over and over in my head. When I got home, I checked my phone one more time. That's when I saw it. Michelle's Instagram, a group photo, all 3 of my children together at some trendy bar. Laughing, drinks raised, big smiles. The caption read, "Needed this night out with my favorites, Beif, sibling time." Posted 45 minutes ago, the exact time they were supposed to be at my anniversary dinner. My stomach dropped. They didn't forget. They chose not to come. They chose each other over me. I sat on the couch, staring at that glowing screen, and something fundamental shifted inside me. I whispered to the empty room. I gave them everything, and they can't even give me one evening. That was the moment I stopped being their mother who forgave everything and became someone they should have paid attention to. 2 weeks later, my birthday arrived. I didn't plan anything this time. I wanted to see if they'd remember on their own. No calls through breakfast, Nothing by lunch. Afternoon passed in silence. Finally, at 9 o'clock at night, my phone rang. Diane. My heart lifted with stupid hope. "Oh, Mom, happy birthday." I smiled. "Listen, can you watch the kids this weekend? Mike and I desperately need a break." The smile died on my face. No apology for the anniversary. Not even an acknowledgement she'd called 9 hours late. Just an immediate favor. "I have plans, Diane." It was the first time I'd ever said no. Her tone shifted instantly. Ice cold. "You never have plans. What could possibly be more important than your grandchildren?" I stayed firm even though guilt twisted in my stomach. "I just can't this weekend." I hung up with shaking hands, sat alone in my apartment on my birthday. But I felt something I hadn't felt in years. A tiny spark of self-respect. That spark was dangerous, and it was growing. 1 month later, Kevin called. Out of nowhere. Unusually friendly and chatty. "Hey, Mom, how are you? We should really get together soon." Hope flickered again. Maybe he was finally making amends. The small talk went on for 2 minutes. Then, "Actually, you still have Dad's tools in storage, right? I'm renovating the basement and could really use them." The hope crumbled instantly. "You're calling for the tools? That's why you called?" He got defensive, irritated. "What? I thought you'd want them used. You're not using them sitting in storage." I tried to explain. "I was saving them. Your father built—" He interrupted. "Dad's gone, Mom. You can't hoard everything forever. It's not healthy." The word hoard cut deep. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. I'd kept almost nothing. But I gave him the tools anyway. That people-pleasing habit was still too strong. He picked them up, the next day. Stayed exactly 10 minutes. Barely made eye contact. Left. I stood in the doorway watching him drive away with the last pieces of Robert. Thanksgiving came 2 months after the anniversary disaster. Diane hosted. She included me as an obvious afterthought via group text. But I went. Still hoping. Still trying. When I arrived, I found myself seated at the kids' table in the kitchen. The adult table was clearly visible in the dining room. Diane, Kevin, Michelle, all their spouses, laughing over wine. From the kitchen, I could hear their conversation. They didn't know I could hear. Diane said to her husband, "Mom's getting so needy lately. She actually got upset I couldn't make her little dinner thing." Michelle laughed. "She has nothing else to do. We have actual lives." Then Kevin. "And she acts like we owe her something for doing the bare minimum as a parent. She fed us. Congratulations." I froze mid-bite, fork suspended in the air. Those words hit like physical blows. I sat there with children who ignored me and adults who mocked me. The food tasted like nothing. I stood abruptly, walked into the dining room. "I'm leaving." Diane barely looked up. "What? Why?" "I'd rather be alone than be treated like a burden." Michelle rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, here we go. So much drama over nothing." I left without my coat, drove home trembling with hurt and rage. But instead of collapsing in tears, I opened my laptop with shaking hands, pulled up documents I'd been quietly reviewing for weeks, files I'd told no one about. I'd spent 35 years teaching children the value of knowledge and respect. Time to teach my own a different kind of lesson. What my children didn't know was that I wasn't as simple as they thought. After Robert died, I didn't just sell the house and give them money. I'd also received his life insurance payout. $400,000. They assumed it was much less. Plus his retirement accounts. $250,000 in investments I never mentioned to anyone. And there was something else. My late mother had left me family property upstate. 20 acres with pristine lakefront, held in a private trust, undeveloped. The kids vaguely knew it existed but assumed it was worthless land. I'd kept my finances quiet, originally planning to divide everything equally after my death. But 3 weeks ago, right after seeing that Instagram post, I'd made a phone call. To Patricia Voss, the estate lawyer Robert had trusted. She was in her late 50s, sharp and compassionate. She sent me documents titled Options for Estate Restructuring and Charitable Giving. And just last week, a commercial developer had contacted me about the lakefront property. A formal offer. $1.2 million. I hadn't responded yet. But I kept that letter in my drawer. Read it every night. What they didn't know was that every missed call, every dismissal, every casual insult, I remembered all of it. I wrote it down. My children thought I was just a lonely old librarian with nothing but memories. They forgot I'd managed complex household finances for decades, raised 3 humans on a tight budget, buried my soulmate without falling apart. And I was about to make absolutely sure they remembered who I really was. The week after Thanksgiving, I called Patricia and set a formal appointment. Her downtown office was warm but professional. Walls lined with law books. I brought a handwritten timeline of every betrayal since Robert died. Dates and details. Patricia reviewed it carefully, glasses perched on her nose. Grace, you have every legal right to restructure your will however you see fit. She paused. But I need to know, what outcome do you actually want here? My voice came out stronger than I expected. I want them to understand what they've lost. Not just money, me, my presence, my love. I want them to feel it. Patricia nodded. Then we do this carefully and make it legally airtight. No room for challenges. Over 2 detailed meetings, we drafted a completely new estate plan. The bulk of my entire estate would be redirected to charitable organizations, the local library foundation, and Alzheimer's research, Robert's cause of death. Each child would get a small token amount, $5,000 each. Enough to sting. Not enough to matter. And a personal letter to be read aloud explaining exactly why. Patricia suggested something unexpected. Before you finalize signatures, consider giving them one last chance, one final opportunity. I hesitated. Like a test? I'm done with games. No games. A genuine opportunity to show up for you. You'll know in your heart if they take it or waste it. Meanwhile, my children grew more arrogant. Kevin mentioned to Diane over the phone, Mom's been acting weird lately, cold or something. Diane dismissed it. She'll get over it like always. She's just lonely and bored. Michelle posted in their siblings-only group chat. I wasn't included. Do we actually need to do something for Christmas with Mom, or can we skip this year? Kevin replied, Let's just do our own family things. We'll see her eventually. She's not going anywhere. They operated on one assumption, that I'd always forgive, always be available, always wait for them. Diane even told her husband in private, when Mom eventually passes, that property upstate will be a nice 3-way split for us, probably worth decent money by now. They'd always known the property existed, counted it as future inheritance without earning a single thing. I created a new family group chat, added all 3 children. It was the first time I'd initiated contact in months. I typed, I need to see all of you together. This Sunday, 2 p.m., my apartment. It's important. Non-negotiable. The responses trickled in, lukewarm and irritated. Diane, what's this about? Can you give us context? Kevin, is everything okay? Are you sick? Michelle, this Sunday's really bad. Can we do next week instead? I replied with uncharacteristic firmness. This Sunday at 2 p.m., it's not a request. Be there. The tone surprised them. This wasn't the pushover mother they knew. All 3 reluctantly agreed, more curious than concerned. vaguely annoyed at the inconvenience. Sunday at 2 o'clock, they all arrived within minutes of each other, various states of impatience and confusion on their faces. Michelle checked her phone constantly. Diane sighed while checking her watch. Kevin asked immediately, "Okay, what's the emergency? We're all here." I sat in my armchair across from the couch where they squeezed together. Patricia Voss stood beside me. She introduced herself professionally. "I'm Patricia Voss, estate planning attorney. I handled your father's will." The kids exchanged confused, slightly worried glances. This felt official. Strange. I began, my voice steady and measured. "I asked you here because I've made important decisions about my estate. Decisions you need to hear directly from me." Diane interrupted, concern or fear in her voice. "Wait, you're not sick, are you? Is this about health?" "No, I'm perfectly healthy, which is exactly why I'm doing this now, while I'm clear-headed and certain." I placed a thick folder of documents on the coffee table between us. "Simple question first. Do any of you remember what day it was 3 months ago? October 14th. Ring any bells?" 3 blank faces stared back. They genuinely couldn't remember. My voice got harder. "My 42nd wedding anniversary. The dinner I planned for weeks. The reservation I confirmed with each of you personally, that you all skipped." Uncomfortable shifting. Michelle tried to get defensive. "Mom, we apologized for that. We had things come up." I cut her off. "No, Michelle, you didn't apologize. Not one of you, not once." I pulled out my phone, showed them the Instagram post from that night, them laughing at the bar. That was the first moment I realized something true. You don't love me. You tolerate me when it's convenient. Kevin tried interrupting. "Mom, that's not fair. I held up a single hand, silencing him. "My birthday." "Kevin, you called at 9 p.m. to ask for babysitting, not to celebrate." He went silent. Couldn't deny it. "Thanksgiving, Diane. You seated me at the kids' table and called me needy behind my back. I heard every word." Diane's face drained of color. You heard that conversation?" "Every single word. Bare minimum as a parent." "That's what you said, Kevin." I picked up the documents with steady hands. "I'm not telling you this to hurt you. I'm telling you so you understand what comes next." Patricia spoke formally. "Your mother is restructuring her complete estate. The upstate property, the life insurance proceeds, the investment accounts." All 3 children leaned forward unconsciously, suddenly very interested. Patricia continued, "Will be donated to charitable organizations, specifically the Regional Library Foundation and Alzheimer's research in your father's name." A crushing silence fell over the room. Diane's voice rose. "What? You're giving away Dad's money? Our inheritance?" I stayed calm, cold. "My money, Diane. Robert left it to me. And yes, I'm giving it to people who will actually appreciate it." Michelle stood abruptly, furious. "You can't do this. That property's been in the family for generations. That's our inheritance. We've counted on." I rose to my full height, my voice like steel. "Your inheritance? Tell me, Michelle, what exactly did you do to earn it? Skip my anniversary? Mock me at holidays? Use me for favors, then disappear?" Kevin tried desperately. "We're your children. Doesn't that mean something? Then act like my children. Children show up. Children care. Children don't treat their widowed mother like an obligation to check off. You've shown me for 3 years exactly what I'm worth to you." Diane switched tactics, tears forming. Real or manipulative, I couldn't tell anymore. "Mom, please. We can do better. We'll visit more, call more, I promise." "I don't want visits bought with guilt or greed, Diane. I wanted love. Real love. The kind I gave you your entire lives. It's too late now. I handed each of them a separate envelope. My hands completely steady. They opened them with shaking fingers. Inside, a $5,000 check and a single-page letter. The letter read, "This represents what our relationship became worth to you. Now it's in writing. Use it wisely." Mom. Michelle was crying openly now. "This isn't fair. You can't punish us like this." Neither was sitting alone on my anniversary staring at empty chairs. But here we are. Patricia's voice was final. "The will has been finalized, witnessed, and legally filed. This meeting is a courtesy, not a negotiation." The realization crashed over them. It was done. Irreversible. No room for argument. They left one by one. Michelle storming out, Diane crying. Kevin paused at the door, his voice the quietest. "I'm sorry, Mom. I really am. I was tired. So tired. I know you are, Kevin. Now you are." The apartment fell silent after the door closed behind Kevin. I stood alone in the middle of my living room. Patricia asked gently before leaving, "How do you feel?" I was surprised by my own answer. "Lighter than I've felt in 3 years." Patricia left. I was alone with my thoughts and the late afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows. I didn't do it for revenge or to hurt them. I did it to remember my own worth. I looked at the framed photo of Robert on my bookshelf, traced his face with my fingertip, whispered to the photo, "I think you'd understand, sweetheart. I hope you'd be proud." Over the following weeks, my children attempted reconciliation in different ways. Diane sent an expensive flower arrangement with a lengthy apology card. Kevin visited unannounced, genuine this time, and asked just to talk and listen. Michelle wrote a 7-page email expressing regret, shame, understanding. I responded to each one, but I didn't reverse the estate decisions. They stood permanent. I agreed to coffee with Kevin. The conversation was real, painful, brutally honest for the first time in years. Slowly, carefully, I began rebuilding relationships with them on my terms, not theirs. But the will stayed exactly as I'd signed it. That didn't change. 3 months later, I attended a Library Foundation fundraiser event. I presented the check publicly. The director thanked me in front of everyone. "This donation will fund children's literacy programs for the next decade." I smiled genuinely. It's what my husband would have wanted, and what I want too. I sat among strangers who appreciated my contribution more than my own children ever did. For once, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me. I finally understood I never needed their approval. I needed my own. If you've ever had to stand up to family members who took you for granted, hit that subscribe button right now. I want to hear your story. Have your children, parents, or siblings ever made you feel invisible? Share it in the comments below. Your story matters. And tell me where you're watching from around the world. I read every single comment. Sometimes the hardest thing we ever do is choose ourselves over people-pleasing. But you deserve that choice. You deserve to matter. Thank you for listening to my story. Until next time.